We can all benefit from proverbs from our elders. Africa is the birthplace of human civilization and home to some of the most ancient wisdom on the planet. The continent of Africa is an extremely culturally rich region and home to over 2,000 languages, 3,000 ethnic groups, and numerous belief systems. The Book of African Proverbs and Wisdom, Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin, available on Amazon, is a compilation of over 100 ancient proverbs and words of wisdom from the continent of Africa. This must-read book provides a diverse and expansive collection of timeless, wise sayings and knowledge which have been collected from every region of Africa. This book is perfect for anyone interested in learning more about the African culture and expanding their knowledge of human experience. Order your copy right now on Amazon. The Book of African Proverbs and Wisdom, Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin. Go to Amazon.com and get your copy today.
Alexis here, coming to you with an awesome sale of 25% off when you use promo code OHURU25 at alexisfowler.com. I provide services like digital art, logo designs, packaging designs, web designs, social media flyers, and much more. If you're an entrepreneur with a business or a startup company, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity, getting 25% off when you use promo code OHURU25 at alexisfowler.com.
Learn the ins and outs of IT and launch your IT career in just a matter of weeks with the help of Lifting the Veil IT Academy.
I took Lifting the Veil Academy with subs. Took a while, but I'm here. I made it. I'm now an SSRS developer. I started on the 13th, making a rate of $48 an hour.
Sign up for a free consultation and see where this industry could take you.
To learn more, go to www.ltvacademy.com. That's www.ltvacademy.com.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your Friday Eve is going well. Do me a favor, hit the like button again. Please hit the like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe to the content. I will greatly appreciate it. It really means a lot. Before we get started, got a couple of announcements. You guys. Couple of announcements. Number one, if I don't remember to stream on Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the mamas, the aunties, the grandmamas, happy Mother's Day to you all. Enjoy your Mother's Day. Have an awesome, awesome day come this Sunday. I sent my mom her gifts, her Mother's Day's gifts. She should be getting them soon. So again, happy Mother's Day. I appreciate it. It really, really means a lot. All the mothers who are involved and, all the play moms and all that good stuff. So happy mothers to all you guys. Other announcements, tours. Listen, family, come to Africa with me. Come to Africa with Dynast Amir, okay? Come to Africa with Dynast Amir. Come to Africa with me. I want you guys to join me on the continent. So therefore, make sure you go to donfo.africa. Donfo.africa, that's DANFO.africa, donfo.africa, DANFO.africa to learn more about what we're doing. Listen, if you are a last minute person, and if you want to come hear some awesome jazz music, again, if you want to come and listen to some awesome jazz music, please go to Donfo, DANFO.africa. Again, please visit Donfo, DANFO.africa to learn more. I would love for you guys to come to Senegal, May 21st through the 30th. I know it's last minute. I know it's next week, but I know some of you all, Again, I know some of you are last minute. If you want a yes, we should come and drink some palm wine. Okay, yeah, come. I haven't had any palm wine in Senegal though, but we could find it. But I could definitely find you some fire BSAP. I could definitely find you some fire BSAP. Definitely. I would definitely love to come to Africa as my boyfriend's from Morocco. We was just in Morocco a couple weeks ago. We were just in Morocco a couple weeks ago. So, if you want to come back, if you want to come to Morocco, well, so the trip we did to Morocco was kind of informal. So we were going to Sierra Leone, and we flew Royal Air Morocco, and we had a layover in Morocco. So what they do, if the layover is more than, I think, like 5 hours, they'll give you a complimentary hotel room. So I said, you know what? Since we're going to be in Morocco for almost 12 hours, 13 hours, let's, get our hotel room. I get a taxi or a couple taxis, and let's go hit the streets of Morocco a little bit. Let's go hit the streets of Casablanca a little bit. So we went out and we hit the streets of Casablanca. That's what we did. So, if you want to, so I can't guarantee, again, I can't guarantee that the next trip to Sierra Leone that we'll be having a layover in Morocco, because it really depends on the airline that we take. So and the day that we fly out, because unfortunately, like, getting to Sierra Leone isn't that easy. And what I mean, there isn't like a flights that fly into Freetown. Like, the same carrier doesn't fly to Freetown every day. Like, you can get a carrier that flies to Ghana every day, or to Cape, or to South Africa every day, or they don't, like, no same carrier flies to Freetown every day. So, like, you have Air France, you have Brussels, I think Turkish Airlines, Royal Air Morocco, and Air Senegal. And they fly to Freetown about twice a week on like a rotation. So it just depends on the dates. But I prefer Air Senegal and I prefer Royal Air Morocco, because I would much rather fly directly to Africa from New York than from, wherever we're at to Freetown, versus having to go to Europe like through Air Brussels or Air France or Turkish Airlines. It's too out of the way. But also too, you can fly Ethiopian Airlines from JFK or Newark to Lomé, Togo, and then A Sky flies from Lomé, Togo. I think there might be a slight layover to Freetown. But like I said, I prefer Air Senegal or Royal Air Morocco. So, yeah, I mean, shout out to T2. See, he came with us. Royal Air Morocco wasn't really that bad. They was tripping a little though. I mean, look, if Delta flew, because that's the thing, it's really no. So this is how it works. So say you want to fly Air France or Delta or Air France. I don't like Air France. I prefer Delta, but it's a crapshoot in regards to when you fly from New York to Paris to Charles de Gaulle, from JFK to Charles de Gaulle, it used to be a Delta flight, which is cool. I like Delta. But what they've done, they've changed it up to Air France. I'm not a big fan of Air France. I'm definitely not flying Brussels. So you're stuck with Royal Air Morocco, Air Senegal. I prefer Air Senegal because that flight from JFK to Dakar is it's a direct flight. Then you go from Dakar to Freetown. You have like a 30-minute layover in Banjul in Gambia. But it's me personally, I like the Air Senegal flight. In fact, we're flying Air Senegal from JFK to Dakar when we go to Senegal for the Jazz Festival this coming up next weekend. So yeah, so that's that. And then we got Nigeria in whatchamacallit, in August for the Oshun Festival, August 6th to the 15th. So if you want to come to yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. That terminal in Brussels sucks. It's terrible. Like I would if I had to fly through Europe to Sierra Leone, I would rather fly Air France. Because if I'm gonna be laid over, the most comfortable airports to be laid over in fact, I'm writing a book, guys, on I'm gonna be releasing it in probably a month. So let me note to self. Note to self. Let me put this in here real quick. If I'm gonna be laid over in Europe, I'm gonna fly into Heathrow or Charles de Gaulle. Heathrow's in London, Charles de Gaulle is in Paris, and the whatchamacallit, the airport in Amsterdam is not that bad either. I've flown. I think when I flew to Kenya, I flew KLM. I think, yeah, or I forgot. I just remember I had a layover in Amsterdam. I think I flew KLM. The terminal in Amsterdam is not that bad. That's cool. It's cool. But I prefer, if I'm gonna be laid over in Europe, Heathrow and Charles de Gaulle. Brussels sucks. Portugal sucks. Yeah, those terminals suck. Or those airports suck. So yeah. So I'm gonna be like Tom Hanks on terminal, and I'm gonna be stuck in the airport. That's where I want to be laid over at. So there you guys go. You got some free game for me. So Nigeria, August 6th to the 15th. Come to Nigeria, y'all. Come to Nigeria. Then we got Zanzibar, November 12th to the 21st. November 12th to the 21st. And then shortly after that, hopefully Madi Bio will be reelected. They'll have another citizenship ceremony in November as well. So I'll be bringing a group for that too. So, guys, which day is Thanksgiving? I know that's a random question. Is it November 24th? It's November 24th, right? Something like that. But okay, that's just random. So yeah, but anyways, guys, so I wanted to continue the reparations conversation and how embarrassing and how much of a issue this this whole reparations conversation and panels have been. And I'll say this. I might not agree with everything Yvette Carnell says, especially when it comes to Africa. But business is business. And these reparations conversations are, especially when we're at Thanksgiving is November 23rd. Okay, thank you. These reparations conversations, when they have these panels or hearings, these are business meetings. And when it comes to my business interests, because I would be eligible for reparations, even though some folks swear I'm an immigrant tether. Some clowns who come in to try and troll. I would much rather have Yvette Carnell. I would like to see Yvette Carnell with a seat at the table. She's more than qualified. And here we go already. Listen, we all have our faults. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me back up. We might not disagree with everything that Yvette Carnell says. Okay. I don't, it's whatever. But I know when it comes to business, sometimes, especially if I'm going to benefit from it, you have to put your ego to the side. Again, you have to put your ego to the side. All right. And take care of business. All right. Take care of business. And sometimes those people who are representing your best interest, you might not agree with them in other categories or topics. But when it comes to the business at hand, they might be on point. And when it comes to reparations, and I've been listening to Yvette Carnell, she should have had a seat at the table. You know, a lot of people say, well, she chose not to show up. And I can understand why she didn't want to show up, because it's a shit show. All right, these panels, these hearings, especially in California, have been an absolute shit show. So, you know, Yvette Carnell showing up. Then you got the Moes, you know, we Native Americans, we was here first. You know, them speaking after you or trying to challenge you in front of this hearing. You ain't got time for that. So I get it. I completely get it. This last hearing that was in Oakland, I think last week or earlier this week, I don't care who sponsors her, Heritage Foundation. I don't care. I don't care. All right? I don't care. Y'all worried about, so you guys are being so picky and you know, but okay, let me see it. And you guys trying to just pick nitpick. And Kroger should be included in any reparations discussion. It should be a collective. All this leader talk is foolish. No, everybody shouldn't be at the table. That's the point I'm trying to make. There should be a small number of representatives who should represent us. I would say a handful, at the most 5 people. At the most, probably not even 5 people, 3 people. There should be 3 people, a lawyer, somebody like Yvette Carnell, who's intellectual with a background, and maybe like a regular, just your everyday person. I don't know, just a regular layman. I don't know what the correct term would be. Should be also be able to speak to those 3 people. That's all you need, 3 people to get this done. Because with everybody having a microphone, it's just now it's becoming an embarrassment. Embarrassment. All right, now it's just an embarrassment, and we are the laughing stock when it comes to reparations. And the thing is, let me say this. Yeah, it's okay. No matter what, but this is the big thing. This is I don't want to say it's the catch-22. The irony of this. This is the irony. Yeah, the best and brightest. There we go. The irony of this. No matter what. So California is a Democratic, blue, liberal state. No matter what, California will come and say, listen, we talked about this yesterday. Y'all ain't getting no check. They ain't cashing the check. So y'all need to cash the check. Cash the check. They ain't happening. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. African Americans should not pay tax for the next 300 years. That would be a great idea. That would be a great idea, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And the reason why it's not going to happen is because, I mean, listen, you had a president. I keep bringing this up. By the name of Donald Trump, who said, listen, black folks, I got $500 billion for y'all. What you want to do? You know what black people told him? We good. We gonna vote for the dude that said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Then had another guy named Ice Cube who said, you know what, guys, let's see what we get for our vote. You know what black folks said? Nah, we good, Ice Cube. So one thing that black folks are serious about, not being serious about, is atonement in regards to reparations. They don't want it. Black folks just don't want it. Let's just be honest. They don't want it. They don't care. They just want symbology. That's all they want. They just want symbology. That's right. Juneteenth is a federal holiday. I forgot. And Juneteenth didn't become cool until Joe Biden told you it was okay to celebrate Juneteenth. That's when it became cool. There you go. So, that's all. I just wanted to come back on and speak on the reparations topic. But listen, I'm going to put the link in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you can. We're going to take a quick commercial break. But link is in the chat room. You are more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. We'll be right back.
We can all benefit from proverbs from our elders. Africa is the birthplace of human civilization and home to some of the most ancient wisdom on the planet. The continent of Africa is an extremely culturally rich region and home to over 2,000 languages, 3,000 ethnic groups, and numerous belief systems. The Book of African Proverbs and Wisdom, Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin, available on Amazon, is a compilation of over 100 ancient proverbs and words of wisdom from the continent of Africa. This must-read book provides a diverse and expansive collection of timeless, wise sayings and knowledge which have been collected from every region of Africa. This book is perfect for anyone interested in learning more about the African culture and expanding their knowledge of human experience. Order your copy right now on Amazon. The Book of African Proverbs and Wisdom, Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin. Go to Amazon.com and get your copy today.
Learn the ins and outs of IT and launch your IT career in just a matter of weeks. With the help of Lifting the Veil IT Academy.
I took Lifting the Veil Academy with subs. Took a while, but I'm here. I made it. I'm now an SSRS developer. I started on the 13th, making a rate of $48 an hour.
Sign up for a free consultation and see where this industry could take you.
To learn more, go to www.ltvacademy.com. That's www.ltvacademy.com.
Alexis here, coming to you with an awesome sale of 25% off when you use promo code OHURU25 at alexisfowler.com. And I provide services like digital art, logo designs, packaging designs, web designs, social media flyers, and much more. If you're an entrepreneur with a business or a startup company, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity, getting 25% off when you use promo code OHURU25 at alexisfowler.com.
All right, links in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. Again, link is in the chat room. And yes, I don't agree with Yvette's stance when it comes to Africa and Black immigrants, but when it comes to the reparations conversation, I agree with her. But guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, click on the link. Again, please click on the link. Let me play some of this video. Hold on one second. I wish it was a global effort to get African Americans their reparations. Yeah, well, it could be, but unfortunately, you have, and this is where I disagree with Yvette Carnell and Tariq Nasheed. They've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the Black world. They've isolated themselves instead of reaching out, to the other Black non-FBA ADOS organizations. Said, hey, let's rally together around this. They chose not to. So that's not going to happen. So whatever allies they might have had from the Black diaspora, and then they kind of 86 that. Is that a correct term? 86? Is that a correct term? 86? So yeah, so that's not going to happen. Unfortunately. But links in the chat room. If you want to call in, click on the link. If you want to call in, click on the link. So yeah. But let me play this real quick. Hold on, let me play this real quick. Let me here we go. It's just everybody should not have a microphone. Now listen, I don't want to talk bad about the elder. Now, hold on, let me share this real quick. I just think this has now become entertainment. Let me watch my words very carefully. Hold on one second.
Brings us the conversation from today.
Capital, money, reparations. That will stimulate this economy for the 2.6 million blacks in California.
Dozens of people lined up to speak at day one of the California Reparations Task Force's March meeting held this month in Sacramento. They offered various perspectives on how reparations should look for Black Californians.
You can never repay for the damage have been done to Black people in America. So I want to be very clear. Land. Healthy land, not toxic land.
The white farmers all around him had wells. We didn't.
Gloria Pirot-Dyer came from Roseville to share her family's story.
Growing up in Allensworth was an extraordinary experience in terms of being able to see how racism affected an entire town.
She grew up in the historically Black Central Valley community of Allensworth, named for its founder, Colonel Allen Allensworth. A community built by and for Black people, it thrived in the early 1900s, but dwindled in subsequent decades with a loss of water rights and many leaving for World War II.
At the time, in the 1950s, it was pretty much an all-Black town. We had a 63-acre farm. We didn't have wells, but the white farmers around us, they all had wells. This one white farmer who was across the road, he had his well, he would water his fields, and, the water would run into the ditch. If he saw us bring our cows out to drink water out of the ditch, he would tell us to get them back away from water in the ditch. That is hatred. I didn't experience the brunt of racism like I would have maybe if I had lived in Mississippi or someplace else. But I saw enough of it to realize the damage that could be done.
She says growing up, her parents told her about her enslaved ancestors.
They were treated like animals, only worse.
She says chattel slavery has done generations of damage. That's why she's advocating for reparations, not only in the form of land and money, but also mental health resources.
There are many who still have not been able to reach anywhere near their potential because of the psychological harm. And so even if money, for example, is put in somebody's hands, but if the internal issues have not been resolved and healed, that person will go right on doing some pathological thing.
And see, this is where I disagree. When you get your money, it is your business what you want to do with your reparations check. All right. I'm not for this mandatory educational financial counseling. I'm not for it. When you get your money, that is your business. It's just you're giving them more reason to not pay you. Just take your check and do what you want with it. It's your business. It is if you want to go get an S550 Maybach, go get it. If you want to put the money back. In fact, the elder at the beginning, hold on, let me go back. The elder at the beginning was like, put the money back into the economy. So, I mean, that's what we're going to do anyway. So, no need for all this education and all that. Just get your money and do what you want with it. It's your choice. Go ahead, Newt.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, word. Yeah,
I thought you were somebody else, but go ahead.
yeah, man. I thought I changed my avatar, but I guess not. But yeah, the clip. My only question is that do they even know who to get reparations from? Because what I'm aware of is that the government, although they played a part, they weren't the benefactors of slavery, I guess. It was private owners that.
We lost you, bro. Your Obama phone went out, man. Your Obama phone went out. All right, guys. Links in the chat room. Put the link in the chat room if you want to call in after the conversation.
Oh, you can hear me now? Sorry, I like logged out. Yeah, but basically what I'm saying is they're telling the government to give them reparations as if the government is going to go after these private owned companies who have all the wealth, all the power, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, if anything, the government could give tax breaks, but even still, like she said, that won't be enough. Payment in cash will not be enough. And I don't even think the land would be enough here. I mean, in order to sustain ourselves, yes, but I still don't think it would be enough for us to fully prosper, throughout this whole thing.
You see, and I think that's the problem. Like, at Search for Hero, California Senior. I'm reading this chat comment in the chat room. But I see we just want to overcomplicate the reparations situation. Well, we should do this, but they shouldn't give us this, and we not ready. What you gonna do with the money? We not this, that, and other. Dude, listen, just take your check and your land and do whatever you want with it, and just move on.
True. Yeah, I mean, winning a battle is winning a battle, and then
it ain't the government; it's the private entities. Like, listen, just take your money, but the government made it legal.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
But the government is a separate entity from private companies. I mean, like, the majority of the people, right? They say, our government is people-based. That's why we vote. So the majority, or, people that are opposed to this are going to vote against it. And they see their money being taken out of their pockets in order to give us that. So in order to give us reparations. And I mean, it could be, it's double-sided. Like, I hope that Black people do get it, but it's what they do with it.
Yeah, whatever they do with it, that's their business. And listen, links in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you can. Again, if you want to call in and add to the conversation, links in the chat room, you're more than welcome to. Anything else you want to add, brother?
Nah, I just want to hear what other people got to say. Like, I'm willing to join in the conversation. I kind of thought I broke the ice with it, hoping more people would join in. But yeah, I'll sit back and hopefully somebody else joins.
Oh, cool. All right, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the guy here at the beginning, let me go back to it. Right here. Hold on, let me go back. Here we go. Hold on.
Capital, money, reparations. That will stimulate this economy for the 2.6. Capital, money, reparations. That will stimulate this economy for the 2.6 million blacks in California.
Dozens of people lined up to speak at day one of the California Reparations Task Force's.
But that's my point. So like you said, they plan on putting it back in the economy anyway. So it really don't. I mean, all this educational, these classes or whatever that they got to take before you get your money, it's going to be put back in the economy anyway. So it really don't matter. Or this economy. It's going to be put back in this economy anyway. So, because, I hear people say, well, black people need to get their reparations and build a sovereign nation. They got to build a sovereign nation. Hey, yo, you fighting your mic, Miss Sammy. You fighting your mic. Stop fighting your mic. All right, Miss Sam, man, go ahead. Hello? Yeah, y'all got these Obama phones. Y'all got to stop with the calling in with the Obama phones, okay? Y'all got to stop calling in with the Obama phones. All right, you got to stop calling in with the phones that they give away at Kroger. All right. Guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in after the conversation, click on the link. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, click on the link. Link is in the chat room. Who's this? Beijing Melanin. Hey, how you doing? Here we go. Street Media TV. Street Media TV, go ahead.
What's going on, Diners? This is George Macon.
Hey, what's up, George? Go ahead.
I don't, something like I always talked about on our channel. We ain't getting that no time soon because we're not unified enough. In this country,
I agree.
What leverage do we have? Other countries, other immigrants got reparations because they had leverage through U.S. policy, certain things that the U.S. was doing overseas. Those countries had leverage. Like, we don't have no allies that fight for African Americans overseas. The Jews, the Japanese, they was able to get reparations because they got representation outside of America, people, where they had leverage. We don't have none of that, nor do we have the unification to actually force their hand. America's a corporation, is a business. What do you bring to the table to make them want to negotiate to give it to you? And until we get that, you ain't getting shit. They're not just gonna smack you around, take your bike in your house, and then just say, hey, we feel bad, we're gonna give it back to you. That's not the way this man worked. That's not the way he ever worked. So if we don't have no unification or no type of leverage or no ability to force their hand to do it, then we ain't getting nothing. And people need to just cut this foolishness out, man. And this is stuff that I've been trying to tell people. This ADOS or FBA or whatever you want to call it, it can't be just a slogan for this year. This going to take some time. I want to see 5 years from now, y'all still going to be saying ADOS or FBA and really be serious about it. Really have 5 million registered voters across America where you really to take a stand and say, listen, this is what we bring to the table, and whoever meet our demands get our vote. Like, what are we really doing? Is there a new revolution amongst the youth where we're saying we honor our ancestors, but we're going to do some things differently as a group? Until you do that, you ain't getting shit. You ain't getting nothing. And they know that. They know that you're not unified or willing to be revolutionary. So, to get reparations now, it's going to take an act of coming together where 40 years from now, our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be talking about this great thing we did. Until you really do that, we still talking about the great things Dr. King did. We in the now. So until we do something right now revolutionary, nothing's coming to you, man. That's just my stance on it.
Let me ask you this, George. I know you lean more Black America, ADOS FBA. Who should be in the forefront? Like, if you had to choose to be in the forefront as far as speaking on reparations, would you choose Tariq or Yvette?
Neither one of them. I think that we have black economic strategists and professionals in America that can speak. Now, I believe that one of them could maybe be an advisory at the table, to garner the attention of the younger people. But we already have Black professional people that's able to break the numbers down, know the history, on a professional level that actually has political connections and all those things. A lot of Yvette Carnell and Tariq, they're online, but do they have the actual political connections and the time and over time of knowing people, backdoor deals, front door deals in order to get things done? I don't think so. But we have those type of black people. They just not online. So I don't think that they should be the ones in the forefront, but I believe that they can actually use this social media thing to garner the attention of the young people to help. They definitely got to help, but we got to get. There's black professionals out there that actually know what they're doing, that will be taken serious, that can get things done. Some of those people need to be the ones that's actually leading the charge.
All right, cool. Complex, go ahead, bro. Unmute yourself.
Peace and blessings, man. Peace and blessings to the show.
Go ahead, brother. Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure. So here's my take. I do agree in part with some of what the brother said, this brother and the brother before. Here's the thing. Reparations. Looking at the meaning, the first part of that is repair. Now, owning a company that repairs things and foundations and buildings. To repair is to build upon the damages that's already been done. It is not to make anew. It is not to make better. It is just putting makeup on it. You get me? You hear me, Dynast?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's putting makeup on it. When we go and refurbish a place, we're just trying to fix some of the things that could damage our entire foundation and to make it last longer. Now, a revolutionary is trying to burn that shit down and rebuild it. Now, I'm not pushing one or the other. Your show is about reparations. So reparations. In just California. Who should get it? Okay. I'm not agreeing with the FBA or whoever else because honestly, California, I no disrespect, Dimes, I know you're from there. It is a republic. It had its own president before. Little do anybody knows on here, California and Texas had their own presidents before. So much love to California for making this move. But that's the same place where the Black Panther Party came to the Capitol with they think that was a whole political party. If anybody wants to look up Black Panther Party to see that it's a registered political party with the United States that got attacked. You talk about reparations? You can't repair that. However, you get your check. The thing is, Dynast, and I'm going to have to disagree with you on a little bit. It's called reparations. It's supposed to be something for repairing by the definition. So how do we repair what California did in its hand in the role of slavery, in the role of degradation, in the role of their killing of Black Panther members, in the role of their killing of Black people, period, in the role of before Rodney King, they led to Rodney King, and the role of Tupac. And I don't know if Biggie got killed out there too, but whichever one, reparations, the check should match the name. When you get a check in your name and you try to cash in another account today, they won't do it. So reparations, the check should match repairing what was done. Now, I don't disagree with you, Dynast, though. People have a right to do what they want to do. But should we not just be doing what we need to do? Because we've been doing what we want to do for the longest, and where has it gotten us? I'll see it there, sir. Complex.
Right, but Newt, but I think the problem, so when we talk reparations, it's more than just slavery. It's actual laws that have been on the books that discriminated against Black people. So it's Jim Crow, redlining, housing discrimination. It's not just slavery, and I think that's kind of where we get.
Oh,
kind of.
You've been profound on me now.
no, but I'm serious. That's what it's about. Like, it is.
You've been
isn't just
profound. That's
about,
real. That's real.
It isn't just about slavery. It's actual.
No. It's not about slavery. I brought that up, because
no, it's
kind
slavery.
of attack.
That's part of it.
So
but it's more than that.
I'll put it this way, Daniel. As a person that actually testified when the United Nations came to America, to several states locally, the United Nations went locally, and people keep forgetting the United Nations voted with us. Frantz Fanon's, I think, daughter. I don't know if it's his granddaughter. Frantz Fanon's daughter, and who chaired the United Nations at the time. When we all, I'm from Chicago, but they went to several big areas and non-big areas or cities of the United States to ask us what happened. As a person who testified, I understand why they went locally. So right now, let's be real. This is a California, because this reparation thing, California, at least is giving it a conversation. And so let's say California, Republic, because California, like I said, it had a president. Anybody is welcome to look it up. It's a republic like Texas is a republic. So we talk about what California did to blacks. That's why I mentioned the Black Panther Party. I didn't mention the Chicago branch with Fred Hampton Sr. I'm mentioning where it was founded, California. So what has California done that they have to repair? It's the question. So no, we don't disagree in a way. I'm reaching further as a person who testified at the United Nations for these hearings from Chicagoland and heard people from California testify and read it as well. So we talking about reparations, California. Yvette Carnell, I don't think she was there. But if she was, please prove me wrong. Tariq Nasheed, I don't think in the records I read that time we testified, they were there. However, if they ever showed up to speak up, to do something, that's one thing. But the other thing is this. You want to have reparations and repair. Take what you have to repair, even if it's just your own family. Build some, you know me, bro, I'm going to go to it. Build some trust and build some investments to keep it going. Or you can be like Tron on Dave Chappelle's show. Hey, Nuke. Hey, Diane, you remember Tron on Chappelle's show?
Yeah, I remember Tron.
And remember the episode that Chappelle was showing what he gave the reparations checks and he was rolling dice, winning more money?
Right.
But you can do that. That's okay with me. But what can we do on top of that? Because we've been watching, waiting, and doing so much. And yes, to go back into the economy, but it should go back into our economy. But this is California right now that's making headway, but it's actually one of the latest states of the union. If you get what I'm saying, I'm from a family. You know how you be saying my bones is buried here.
Right.
I'm so kin to James Daniel Gardner, one of the first recipients of the Medal of Honor in this country. One of the men that made sure they won and took over Richmond, Virginia. And anybody can look up James Daniel Gardner. That is my shared heritage. He's the only one, though. But that's not even the biggest point. The biggest point is this, though. Go ahead. Somebody was speaking.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, in this country, they have records of the different states and what happened in different towns, because they've even given out reparations before to certain black families on certain occasions. The problem that we have is it still goes back to, we understand it's about repair. Like, we understand what happens in the Devil's Punch Bowl. We know about the eminent domain here in Philadelphia, which was the first gentrification when they start moving all the blacks that came from the South out of South Philly into North Philly and took that land, like, what Octavius Cato was arguing about. So they have the records of everything that they did. The problem that we have is a lot of our people are not educated. This generation is not educated. All the way back to Thaddeus Stevenson, back in the 1800s, reparations bill was on the floor and they was just always being, ignored or just maybe just sitting there. I mean, you have multiple bills. The problem is a lot of our people are not well versed and educated, because if you ask the average black boy walking around, yo, who's your grandfather? Man, I don't know. They don't even know. So, and the thing is, the powers that be know this shit. They know that as families that's living in South Carolina,
Your phone is you in the matrix, George. You in the matrix.
Oh
yeah,
man, I thought it was me, man. I was scared. I was scared.
Your bomber phone.
Am I back yet? Am I back?
Yeah, you back.
Now,
Go ahead.
I'm riding through the park. Yeah, I'm riding through the park. So, but it's a lot of people that don't know families, and that's a lot.
Yeah,
Hey,
George,
bro, you
you're
gotta get
back
past
in the
that
matrix.
part. Get past that
You're
part,
back
bro.
in the matrix. Yeah, get past. You're back in the. You're back in the matrix.
All right, just give me a minute. I'll put me there.
Hey, but you doing well. No, I can hear. No. Hey, Dice, I can hear him a little now. Say something else again, bro.
Yeah. No, y'all can hear me. I guess I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of people that don't know their family history, and the government knows that. You know what I mean? Across Louisiana, Mississippi. You know, like Mississippi was the lead. You know, led the world.
Oh, it's happening again, bro.
You know, after
It's
slavery,
happening
you know,
again.
you got
George, when you get George, yeah, I can't hear.
Yeah, the next guest, Dice. I'm seeing for the next
let's
guest.
pass it. Hold on, pass it to Mr. Sandman. We'll pass it to Lumumba Speaks. Go ahead, Mr. Sandman.
Hi, I hope my reception is better this time around. You know, I'm not in the best area for reception either, but I hope this holds up. Yeah, but
Go ahead.
the world, the United States, you know what I mean, and the world have the world reserve currency, our dollar. The United States dollar is the world reserve currency, and is directly impacted by this transatlantic slave trade. So, in other words, the first world reserve currency they say is Portugal or the Portuguese, and they built their economy or their international trade off of the transatlantic slave trade. Then the British became the world reserve currency, and then the United States became the world reserve currency, and all of that is due to their influence of the transatlantic slave trade, from taking goods from Europe, selling them into Africa, and then taking people, human beings, and taking that cargo to the New World, and they created an international trade. So, due to that fact alone, I believe that FBA or Foundational Black Americans here in the United States are the primary reason why the United States became a huge power economically. Also, when I watch,
wait, say that one more time. What's the reason you would argue?
I will argue that the human cargo that created the human cargo that was sold in the transatlantic slave trade from West Africa is the primary reason, or one of the major primary reasons, that the United States became a world economic power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I would disagree with that, but we could go on down the line. I'll wait for my chance to speak.
Yeah, well, we know that the British and a lot of those European powers built fortresses and military bases on the west coast of Africa. Why? To protect their interests, their assets, which was human cargo and the other natural resources that came from West Africa. So obviously, that was all a part of the transatlantic slave trade. Was a major reason why the West became a huge economic power, and one of their biggest assets were the physical labor that came from foundational Black Americans that they got from West Africa. So when they say that the United States was built by Black Americans, I believe that's what they mean.
Get an understanding.
Okay.
For why you.
So on top of that, right? So I've listened to a couple of right-wing podcasts, economic podcasts, in the recent past days, and some of these guys these right-wing white guys, they're like actually not totally against reparations for black people, and I suspect it's because they figured that they could get a buck out of this, because you flood the economy with all of this cash, which will go right into their pockets in probably a rapid succession. And I believe that the people that are mainly against reparations are some of the poor or white people or the lower to middle class white people who would think that black people would have all of this economic power and push them out. So the top end people or the 1%, they might even be for reparations to a certain extent, but they know that it will cause a lot of civil distress on a lower level. So in other words, you know what I mean? The money will come into our pockets if they were to give it to foundational Black Americans or to Black people in the United States, but it will leave our pockets quickly. So technically, yes, the country was built on our backs to a certain extent. However, it wouldn't necessarily be in our best interest to have that money at this present time, because we haven't built a foundation economically where we would be able to take all of those economic resources and build industries with them. So
can I speak to that?
Maybe we are deserving of it, but it's just not time for us to have it right now.
Can I challenge that?
So let me tap in. Let me tap in.
Can I challenge that though, bro?
Well, hold on. Let's pass to Lumumba, but we'll pass it to make it George.
Yeah.
After Lumumba. Go ahead, Lumumba.
So I think there's a couple things we want to unpack in this situation. One, whenever we have this conversation regarding reparations, unfortunately, individuals tend to obfuscate. Right, they tend to muddy the waters regarding what reparations is for. I heard, I believe, a brother state looking at the situation, Tupac Shakur's death. That the state of California is not responsible for Tupac Shakur's death. Tupac was killed due to wanting to play gangster. That we want to be completely honest about what took place, what transpired, and why he died. So that's number one, right? We need to understand that. One, we also know that there have been individual acts of police brutality against the African Americans. One, the most notable in California would be, of course, Rodney King. But when we're advocating the request for reparations or the fight for reparations, isn't simply for chattel enslavement, right? It is for living under a system of social control, according to Michelle Alexander, her seminal text, The Miseducation of the Negro, that started with chattel enslavement, transformed and morphed into sharecropping, convict leasing, and black codes, then morphed once again into Jim Crow, and now we're looking at the new Jim Crow. So reparations would be due to living in a society in which African Americans have been under a system of social control since our sojourn 400 or 500 years ago when we came here, and it's still present today with the goal of course, putting Black people in a position of second-class citizenship in which we are citizens, but denizens and not citizens. So I think that's one thing that we need to understand. The second issue, when the brother talked about America becoming a superpower, we do know that the Western world, or the global North, if anyone is working in the financial industry, the global North became the most industrialized and developed part of the world due to what the transatlantic slave trade. We know that the transporting and selling of Black bodies led to, of course, it provided the financial base for the industrialization of Western Europe. So that's something that, of course, we are cognizant of and want to make sure that we are aware of. But when we talk about that simply being rooted in, of course, foundational Black Americans or American descendants of slavery, that is extremely false, right? Because we do know that only 4% of Africans that was transported to the New World came to the United States of America. Hence, once again, 4%, 4%, 4%. And I have a number of sources to, of course, substantiate the numbers that I'm providing. But the biggest issue is not the concern of when we should receive it, right? Yes, we're owed this, but we shouldn't receive it because we don't have our ducks in a row. That's not how it works, right? If you go to court and you file a civil claim, and the individual entity that you have found responsible, if the court finds that individual liable, they pay up. The court doesn't say, listen, until you get your ducks in a row or until you do this and do that, then we will pay you the money. It doesn't work that way. We receive the reparations in whatever form that we believe it should be. Many will advocate cash payments. And then it's on us, our responsibility to do with that money what is in the best interest of our communities for our people.
Go ahead, George.
I like what the brother just basically laid down everything where I was going with. But when the brother said about us getting cash payments.
But very quickly, brother, complex. I didn't say Michelle Alexander wrote Miseducation of Negroes. I said she wrote the book, The New Jim Crow. Right? She wrote the book, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. If I did state that, then I apologize. But I just left from class. I'm grading papers. But I meant.
Oh, much love. I got you. Much love. I got you. I won't go for you, bro. We good. I know what you meant.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a book written in 1944 by Eric Williams. He was later the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And he talked about Black slavery was the engine that propelled Europe's rise to global economic dominance.
Facts.
You know, so like we got to study the history and study what the people before us said. You know, not yesterday, but the people of yesterday going back. You know, because there's many books that actually broke down capitalism and how the Industrial Revolution was actually built based off of us. So when the brother speaks about us not getting a cash payment, well, you got to understand something, brother. In America, the way a lot of white Americans built capital was through insurance policies, homeowner insurance, and death burial insurance policies. There was plenty of class action lawsuits by our people with these insurance companies. You can look them up because they was only giving our grandfathers burial insurance.
Yeah,
we wasn't allowed to amass any wealth or get home ownership. So we was kept out of that loop. You know, when they start allocating funds and moving them into suburbs and they start amassing wealth through equity and homes and insurance policies, we wasn't getting that for like 70 years. You know, so that's part of our reparations claim. When we left the South during World War I because we was promised jobs when whites went off to fight the war, and when we got up here, we was relegated to these concrete jungles, and a lot of jobs wasn't given. And then when the jobs was given, when they came back, they started. You know, we start having riots and wars and the bloody summer of 1919, and it was so many different things that went into effect. Federal laws that was on the books to protect us wasn't enforcing state laws. This is why you had a lot of our cities being burned down. So when people talk about reparations, the reason why the federal government is responsible because we had laws put on the books since 1875.
Right.
Yeah,
after I would argue 1740 after the Stono Rebellion, right? But yeah, you cooking, brother. You cooking. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. we plus 1896. We have so many. I have a thing I'm gonna put in the chat. I'm not a mod. I don't know if I can put it in the chat, but all the way from 1600 down to the 2000s, all of the executive orders that's on the federal executive orders that's on the books that was supposed to protect us, right? The greatest thing that outside of chattel slavery, that would be our reparations argument, is the way we've been depicted in history. Meaning, if me and Dynast was to create a business and we wanted to go worldwide, we damn near can't even put our faces on there because the very image of us is damaging to the world because of the way we've been projected to the world. Our image has been smeared on so many different levels, from eugenics to just the idea of black people in America. I don't know how you can repair that.
And I hear
thank you, man.
But I wouldn't use that because that's not something that you would really be able to codify and substantiate in court.
Well, let me qualify that though. Let me qualify that and how you can. I'll explain this. In America, right? They portrayed us as Sambos and coons, meaning because we use it wrong, where a Sambo was basically a nigga that was unable to do anything without the white man. A coon was a man that understood who his enemy was and complained about him, but was too lazy to do anything about it. These were talking points and slogans that they put on us. They said that people like H.S. Chamberlain and Madison Grant wrote books about our intelligence, and it went around the world that this is the thinking process, smaller brains of Black people. So now, with all this education in America, Santa Claus was white, Jesus was white, anything associated with greatness was white, the social engineering of the mind of a Black person, right? All the way to this day, that when I'm coming to you to ask for reparations, there's no way I'll ever know if you're racist against me or not, because of the teachings and that's been taught in this country. So part of it's impossible for us to have a reparations claim of repairing and not have that as one of the number one catalysts on the table, because of our image and what they've done to our minds. So the UN, when you go to the World Court, they know this. They know what happened. You had world leaders that would tell America, you can't tell us what to do because look what you do to your niggas. Everybody knew what they did to us. Everybody knew the way that they portrayed us in media, to the point where we call ourselves niggas because this is the way we see ourselves. And this is their curriculum.
I understand that, but I think once again, you like I said, oftentimes it becomes helter skelter and we move off base, right? Those are pertinent, those are real issues. But when you're advocating for reparations, right? The reparations, once again, you can't put a monetary value on the psychological, right? So we have to make sure that this is why I would love to have someone who's in the room who's an actual attorney, because then you could bring that person in and they could talk about, okay, we calculated this amount based on what we can prove in court.
Bro, can I ask you a question about that?
Yes, sir.
You said we need an attorney. Now, attorneys get their licenses from who?
Well, the state that they are in, they have to pass
the Supreme Court of that state, right?
No, well, they have to pass the bar.
No, listen, this is what I'm trying to show you.
Hold on. You asked me a question and I answered it correctly, and then you said, "Nah, hold on, no." An attorney.
Oh, my bad. I think you think I'm being aggressive. I'm not trying to be aggressive. I want to take this down.
I didn't say that.
You my brother. Let's take it down.
What I stated was an attorney gets their law. They get their license to practice law from the state bar association. The state of bar association, each state's bar association has nothing to do with the Supreme Court.
My apologies, bro. Hey, my apologies to you, bro. I'm gonna have to apologize to you for giving time that we can both study together, so you can figure out that the Supreme Court gives the licenses to attorneys. And
no, they do not. I have friends that I grew up with.
Somebody come in and bring it in, please, because I'm not going to tell you my whole background, but I'm trying to help you. And if I please ask you.
Well, hold on. Philip Lindsay, are you in the chat? He's a lawyer, so he can answer this. Philip Lindsay, are you in the chat? Philip Lindsay. Philip, are you still in the chat? Press yes. And then Philip, he's a lawyer, so he could answer.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Can I put this on the table too? When you deal with the small hats, right? And their image is protected at all costs. You're not allowed to say anything about them disparaging. You're not allowed to actually talk about how they control certain things, right? The reason why those mechanisms was put in place for them, so that way, the way that they're perceived over time has been changed. It's almost impossible for us. See, it's not a monetary value.
Yeah, but I know, but the reason why they're able to do that is because they have power.
Let me lay out what I'm saying. It's not just a monetary value. It's the way that the Black's existence is perceived to other groups. So even when we walk in the room, we're perceived as not intelligent or being able to get the job.
I understand that,
but that's the problem. But that's the problem in the reparations argument in itself, because our image has never been protected to the point where it's been 60, 70 years of generations of white folks that don't even take you serious.
I know that, but
that's what I'm alluding to.
I understand that, but to speak to that point, that's an issue of power, right? No, every ethnic group, it's their responsibility to protect their image and make sure that the image that's being projected of them, if it's incongruent with what they believe is in their best interest.
Yeah, but we want
to that's a great comment he made, though.
That's an issue of power.
But watch this, bro. Well, let me break this down to you for a minute. There's a man that was in Philadelphia, a Jewish guy named Malachi Noah. He is the father of Black minstrel. He created it, right? the first black newspaper back in the 1800s was writing articles about him, saying that he was the enemy because he was bringing damage to the identity or the character that the blacks was trying to create for themselves, right? They were creating, he was racist and they was creating this minstrel. So I see somebody in the chat says, so what? But this is the thing. We have to get control. We've always been fighting for control of our image, right? We've always been fighting for that. But they was creating Dogtown and all of these images of us that we didn't have the power to stop it. So what I'm saying is we can't say so what, because our image is very important to the world. When you got people looking at us as, look at them niggas over there, because they only idea of black people is what they see on TV. So no, that's very important. Look up Amir Malachi Noah. When we look at,
I'm aware of this. I teach African history.
So what I'm saying is
the issue is that's not something that you can argue in court and get a monetary claim for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The idea of us arguing in court before we even walk in that room, there's already preconceived notions about us and that we even have about ourselves. That's damaging, and that's a problem that we got to look at.
Well, and I'm aware of that, but I'm saying that is a separate issue from going to court and advocating and fighting for reparations.
It's not separate. It's not separate.
I
want to say something, hey brothers.
Because that's not something that you can argue in court and get a monetary benefit claim for. You can't get compensation for that. Not financially.
Yeah, you can. Now, y'all talking about
if you could provide me an example in court of someone able to go to court and win a monetary civil claim.
Israel.
Civil award.
Israel.
The Jews do it
in court.
Israel was done in court. The courts are not going to help us. And I'm trying to tell you before, because they're the ones that had laws on the books that made Jim Crow. The legislative
I'm aware of this.
Wait, no, hear me out for a second, my brother, because I heard you. I'm trying to tell you the Supreme Court. Now, I'm a member of the American Bar Association. I was trying to be nice about it. That does not make you an attorney. I'm not an attorney, but I'm a member.
It gives you the right to practice law.
No, hear me out. Hear me out, because I'll give you my license, my member number. Not license. I'm not licensed. I'll give you my member number. You can join the American Bar Association because it's a non-profit organization. Now, I sit here and I testify because I know the things I'm talking about.
I can only join the Bar Association if I've passed the my state's exam.
Okay, we'll deal with that later because you teach African American history, and we'll deal with that later. However, because you're my brother, I ain't here to come at you that way, and I'm trying to tell you, don't do it. You can Google real fast and back off, or you can keep going where you're going. And
I know what I'm talking about. I have a attorney myself.
I'm a
personal lawyer.
But
hey, can I add something to this?
That's not my point. Hello? Wait, let me finish the point, though. Let me finish my point, y'all. Please, if I can, brothers. Listen, ain't no court that made laws that said you are a criminal. They made an American Psychological Association that says you are a rapist and a criminal and below human. They made an American Medical Association that says you're below human, gonna help you.
Right.
I don't
so
know
what's the solution? So where do you go?
I listen to y'all. I'm speaking with passion. Do not think that any organization created by them is made to help you.
No one didn't say. I'm asking, so what is the solution regarding getting reparations? If you can't go through American courts, what do you do? That's the question.
Well, the solution
I was trying to answer. I was trying to answer it, and I'm gonna make it quick. You know what the solution is? What you make it. Reparations is either given or taken. And somebody asked in Dinah's group if it's bad weapons. No, I'm not saying bad weapons. Because you got a lot of Christians in here who believe no weapon form shall prosper. They don't really believe in that. Weapons are made for physical man. You can't make a weapon for the spirit. And I'm a spiritual priestly being. What no weapon form shall prosper means is spiritual, but you have to do the works. Faith without works is dead.
This is not a spiritual issue. This is a
I'm not done. It is both spiritual. You are mind, body, and soul.
No, I'm not. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in spookism of any kind.
Okay,
So
let's be non-spooky then. I'm glad you said that. Let's go, because that's why you need to deal with Africa more. That's why Dynasty is trying to teach y'all, go to Africa, because Africa ain't spooky either.
Once again, brother, I have a master's degree in African studies. I am not up here.
Your degree is given by your oppressor. Every top college that you have seen in America is built by slaves. Hold on.
Not into that.
I got degrees too. Don't do it. That's why you call me
none
new.
None of this has anything to do with reparations.
Yeah, I just want to
you're blocking me answering what I'm saying about reparations by your red herrings. Your red herrings are blockages.
Reparations.
Okay,
yeah, let me just add something about the reparations.
Go ahead, brother. I'll back off.
Hello?
Let Mr. Sandman add.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, about this reparations thing. For all intents and purposes, I see this reparation claims as basic negotiations between two entities. It's, you know, the black people or the representatives of the black foundational black Americans in the United States government. So anytime you're in negotiations, you're supposed to, you know, bid high, ask high. The opponent is supposed to counter low, and you're supposed to find a middle ground. I basically see this reparations arguments, for all intents and purposes, as a bargaining chip in between, you know, the black voters in the United States and any one of these political parties, whether it be the Republicans or the Democrats, that want to pick up this reparations argument at a later date and bring it back to the negotiating table for a later evaluation. So to say that, you know, asking for $17 trillion is outlandish, yeah, absolutely it's outlandish. But you ask for high, you know, let's say one of the parties bids low, they say 1 trillion. Just this last president, Donald Trump, offered 500 million. So if they got 500 million offered, then that means they got 1 trillion, or they got 2 trillion or 3 trillion offered. That's the bid low. So, you know, it's out there. It's out there in the negotiating tables, and it's up to one of these political parties to pick it up if they want the black vote. And we've all talked about, you know, drawing this line in the sand, asking for what we want. You know, some of the black financial experts in our community, I can't recall the guy's name. He's always talked about black people in the United States not coming to the negotiating table and they're saying and explaining exactly what we want.
You talking about Claude Anderson?
Claude Anderson.
Claude Anderson. There's a couple.
Yeah, this is the first step
that I'm familiar with as well, who was actually come up with an actual total in the trillions of dollars. He was on the 1619 project, and so. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But the thing is this: if their license is controlled by the same people that made the same laws that cause you to need reparations. So I'm not trying to separate from you, because that will defeat the purpose of having a conversation about reparations.
So how do you get? So what's the solution? How do you get reparations if you don't go through the courts?
Move together. Okay, I'm gonna give you the answer. You asked again. You asked again. Let me answer you.
Ask compensation from the government.
You want the answer? Do you want the answer? Do you want the answer? Reparations means to repair something that was done harmful. I explained to you as a builder that gets federal contracts to build things for them. Reparations is only building on top of things that's been damaged. It is not making it anew. It is not making it reborn. It is not making it like a newborn baby.
So you haven't answered the question.
Ask me a question. Let me answer my way. You can't control me. You don't have the power because you haven't been out in these streets like I have. Back off.
You don't know that. You don't know me. You don't know.
I know anyone who's been out in these streets will not speak over me.
Come on, let's just let one person speak, and then when
you don't know anything about me. You don't know what I'm
not saying that, brother. I'm trying to say calm things to you. Let us calm down for a second and be brothers.
We got to stop.
We can get reparations. Okay, so let me answer. You want reparations? You want separation? Like Martin Luther King said, his last speech of the 3 years they blocked him from speaking in the media. You want reparations? All you gotta do is move together, groove together, build together.
That's not what I asked.
All these things. No, you asked me to answer. Let me finish.
Money, monetary compensation from the government. You're talking about what we need to do for ourselves.
No, I ain't done. You saying reparations. You want reparations from a government who's the one that made them laws. You really believe that the government and the brother that came earlier.
It don't matter what I believe. I asked you a question. I'm looking for an answer.
Now you're going to get another part of me. That's why I call complex.
You haven't answered it.
Come on, y'all.
No, man, you can't force me. I ain't one of your dudes you deal with. I'm not a dude you deal with.
One mic. We got Philip Lindsay on, who's a lawyer, licensed lawyer, and I'm going to give him the floor. And I brought him on because I was kind of confused about the whole you could be a lawyer but not get a license. I forgot what the
you have to have in order to be part of our association. And Philip, tap in if I'm wrong. In order to be a member of the bar, you have to pass the bar, and of course you're licensed with the state bar of that state. Correct?
I'll meet you, Philip.
Okay, so hey guys,
how you doing, Philip?
I see the
Chicago in the house, Philip.
Yeah, what's up, Complex?
Man, I know you're gonna tell him because you know I know. But go ahead.
Dr. Lumumba, good to see you. You're doctor now, right?
October I will be.
October, okay, Professor, soon to be doctor, Mr. Sandman, Big Black, Street Media, Theo. Look, guys, states are the ones that license you, okay? Mm-hmm. And different states have different criteria,
correct,
for how you are a licensed attorney under their laws. Some states, like my original state, Illinois, require that you graduate from an ABA accredited law school.
Mm-hmm.
Other states, like New York, require that at least you are eligible to sit for the New York bar. So you have people in New York that, let's say they were an attorney and I don't know, in Liberia. They can enroll in a program for a Masters of Law program at a law school and then use that Masters of Law from the United States to sit for the New York bar. Mm-hmm. Illinois doesn't allow that, okay?
Right, and Philip, please say who gives the actual license. Who is it? The Supreme Court of their state or not?
Yeah, it's the Supreme Court of your state. When you have your swear-in ceremony, they have a panel, believe it or not, from the Supreme Court of your state that actually requires you to take an oath to support the Constitution and the laws of your state. And you swear to this oath. You have to hold your hand up and say, I swear to do this. And then after you've done your oath, then after your licenses are outside and you take your license.
Right, but not before. By state though, right? That's not for all states.
Well, I only know what Illinois does, but generally speaking, it is the state that sets the requirements for.
Yes, it is, and the capital of the ABA is right here in Chicago. You're playing with the wrong.
Yeah. But look, the discussion, as I understood, what Dynas was doing was he was asking a question about who he would want to represent our efforts in reparations discussions, and he said he thought Yvette would be good. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong? Is that
what was the criteria? That's true. What's the criteria for Yvette to be a good representative again, Dynas?
Well, I would say part of, I would think there'll need to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yvette, because no matter what you say about her, she's thorough.
Yeah, she deals with facts. She doesn't attack people personally, call them names, say look at their hairline and foolishness like that.
Right. And then I don't know, maybe like a layman. I don't know, Philip, but I was thinking like Yvette, because right now, and we played the videos, Philip.
We did, and we sent even more.
They've been shit show. So I'm thinking, how about everyone doesn't deserve the mic. I'm sorry. Like, you have a lot of people that just think they're smarter than they are. They don't deserve the mic. So I'm like, I would rather have Yvette with the microphone over anybody else.
Okay, I mean,
for the most part.
Including Tariq Nasheed. Say it, Didas. You trying not to say it. Say it.
Oh yeah, well yeah, over Tariq Nasheed, absolutely. Over Tariq, I would rather have Yvette, of course.
Here's the point that the issue that is used to defeat us both in the diaspora and on the continent is our biggest strength, which is diversity. We are the most diverse group of people on the earth, Africans.
Agreed.
And because we are the most diverse, you can always find a small group of people who are disgruntled that can be used as a wedge to start an argument and get us fighting. We see it on YouTube every day. And so we have to have some sort of way to unify not only diaspora and continent, but also amongst ourselves in our subgroups, right? Just like, Complex gave the shout out to me. We're both Chicago guys originally, right? And that we've subdivided. We balkanized. And we have to find a way to realize, like, look, we naturally can balkanize because we're the most diverse group.
Yes.
So how do we unify? How do we find a way to make our strength not become a weakness? If you go back and look, this is how they got us, folks. And
don't feel
the issue to me is Yvette is very knowledgeable. I in watching her channel, I've learned a lot. She's very literate. She has spent the time in the books to try to figure this stuff out. So certainly her voice would be very helpful. My only concern about Yvette, and Dinas, you and I have talked about this, is
go ahead.
Yvette occasionally is really kind of down on Africa.
Yeah, she started on the wrong foot. That's what I was about to say. She started on the wrong foot.
I brought that up.
Yeah, and you did. You said, well, look, we'll put that aside. That's a business thing. I don't know her. I don't want to make any kind of personal judgments about her. But it's concerning to me. Listen, if you've got this kind of they're them and we're us kind of frame, then that plays into what I started my commentary off with, which is it's going at our diversity again and saying because we have issues of diversity that we fracture, right? And so I would want for her to get more on board of there's only one thing, Black African. When Chinese go anywhere in the world, they're Chinese. Whatever country they're in, the hyphen, sure, but they're Chinese. And what we, in my view, need to get to is we're African. And whether that African was born in Chicago like Complex and I, or was born in Sacramento like Dinas, that we're African. And we're African under a set of rules that, generally, if we're not in Africa, we're not written by us. And I understand both Lumumba and Complex are correct. You're basically taking two sides of the same coin. Complex is correct to say, listen, it's very dubious to say that the people that created the laws that oppressed you will then be the people that use those same laws to compensate you. That seems dubious. On the other hand, yes, sir.
Hey, can I piggyback on you a little bit with the vet thing? Okay. I didn't like how she first got in the game, with a little xenophobia, and that troubled me. One of the things that she did was not only say that, try to divide us and say, hey, we're too far gone. We're not Africans no more. I noticed slick-handedly she tried to take the word African from African Americans with the whole ADOS things. So that right there, what she did was cause a little friction right there.
Go ahead, brother.
between our brothers and between people that don't mind, like me, using the word African. So right there, that caused a little friction. I think she does have a lot of smarts, and she's very intelligent. I don't think she should lead the reparations movement. What they're going to have to do, let's be real, her, Tyreek, and these other grassroots movement, they're going to have to double back and check with the OGs of the reparations movement.
Like, give me an example of some OGs.
Well, in Cobra, people, they're going to have to go back because there's things that they don't know. It's like going to a jail and you're the new guy, and it's an OG that's trying to, that's looking out for you and say, hey man, let me drop some gems on you.
Well, Big Black, let me ask you a question, and I'm being honest because I'm actually a member of Cobra, or I was. How has Cobra moved? How has Cobra moved the conversation forward in all of his years as fast as Yvette and Tone did in a matter of like 2 or 3 years?
It's not about how fast they did it. I'm saying that Cobra has tips and things jewels that they can pass to the younger generation. They need to all sit down at the table and really discuss this and say, okay, hash things out as far as, I don't say, what things that they're going to agree and things that they're not agree on for the betterment of the people. You know what I mean? Because they're going to have to go, they're going to have to take this argument politically. If they want to go for it, they're going to have to go. They're going to have to.
And listen, that was what Yvette was doing. She moved it politically. I gotta give her credit. She had someone show up to their reparations council conference who ran for president. Had him at the table. I mean, I gotta give her credit. I gotta give her credit for that. I didn't see Cobra or Tariq anybody doing that.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Well, hold on. I want to make sure everybody talks though, because there's some other people that are waiting.
Let me say this, and I'll pass the mic. Let me say this, pass the mic, and that's a good thing. But still, don't you think that Cobra, by them being in that particular fight for a long time, knows some things, some tricks, and also some obstacles to stay away from being in the fight a long time that they can pass to the younger fighters. The new generation.
Let me speak to that.
Watch out for this. Watch out for that.
I got to pass the mic to Lumumba, but because people are waiting. But Big Black, I get what you're saying, but as far as results. 4 or 5 years ago, what Yvette and Tone Talks were able to accomplish, you got to give them credit because I give them credit.
I give them credit for that. Yeah.
Well, let me do this. Let me pass it to Theo because Theo's been waiting. Go ahead, Theo.
What was the question?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
Go ahead, Theo.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I know the question is who should represent, but I was kind of just wanted to throw some input about how I see the reparations, right? So assuming that, the average income in the 1700s was $1 a day, right? Which is about the equivalent of $74 a day today, right? And assuming that the working lifespan of the average person was about 40 years, from 20 to 60, right? That would mean that a person would make $27,000 a year over their lifetime. They would make about $1,800,000 or $80,000, right? Dollars in their lifetime. That's how much you could say was lost from each individual during slavery financially, right? Then you can assume that over the, hundreds of years of slavery, there are about 10 million slaves, right? So you do 10 million times a lifetime of work for each individual, 1,080,000, you come up with about $10 billion, right? So that's, 10 trillion, I'm sorry. That's about 10 trillion, 8 billion, right, dollars. So with that, if you take the population of 41 million African Americans today, divide that into that, you get roughly about $250,000 for each individual. So for a household of, let's say, 2 adults and 2 kids, that's about $1 million per household, right? So to me, that's the picture from a monetary standpoint of reparations, right? About $1 million per average household, just average household. Not everybody's going to be the same as far as that goes, but that's money. You have to factor in the fact that some people over that time, some of those folks over those hundreds of years probably would have been buying land though, and that land will have appreciated. So that was a loss. So my point is, like, it's a very complex thing, right? But
it is.
At the end of the day, you have to be thinking about it. You have to think about it like, okay, what is the objective holistically of reparation? And also you have to think about what are the deficiencies today of African Americans that needs to be repaired. Don't get me wrong. It's not to say that just because you're not hurting for money, you shouldn't, receive reparations as an individual. But the slavery wasn't an individual harm. It harmed an entire group of people. And I would say to include America as a whole, right? Because the ills of slavery that fell upon African Americans are visited on America today, right? So America actually has suffered because of slavery. So you have to think about reparations in a holistic manner, in a way that actually addresses the deficiencies, right, of African Americans as a whole, not simply, everybody gets a check.
And if I could, I would argue that you would have to show a direct correlation between those deficiencies or weaknesses as a result of what African Americans being under a system of social control that has relegated.
And I will add that that's been done already. That's been done in both the Congress floor.
Yes.
That's been done by our people before us.
Hold on, let me do this. Because you got people waiting. Super Mike, and then I pass to Alan. Go ahead, Super Mike.
What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just wanted to touch on a couple points. Y'all having a dynamic conversation, and the only thing I would ask us to do is sometimes it's good. Yeah, I know sometimes we disrespect each other because that's been taught to us, but we should actually learn to listen, because that makes it more likely others will listen to you. And it doesn't hurt us to do that, even if we disagree, just let the other person speak. Now the thing is with Yvette Carnell, and I like what the brother said about diversity in the Tariq. Now Yvette, she can talk because no one can stop her from talking. She is representing us in reparations. Okay, but she can't stop anybody else from talking, and other people are getting results as well. So you're not going to be able to tell Tariq Nasheed to stop talking, because from his perspective, he's getting more results from his perspective. Okay, so in Cobra, if they were to want to get in the game as far as competing and become influential in this thing, they need to bring those young in Cobra members, divorce the Democratic Party controls in Cobra for the most part, the leadership. Okay, to me, it's easy to see you can't be in control with either one of these parties and then actually negotiate for Black folks reparations. Because really, and what I wanted to say about the attorney thing, the attorneys come after you've threatened the people with something credible, a credible threat in the streets. Okay, so what the brother Complex said is, us coagulating and moving into areas and controlling certain municipalities. Yes, we have to do that for ourselves, because you have to build up enough power to be able to even threaten these people. Otherwise, you can go into their courts all day. They just do what they want to do, and they don't have to worry about any sort of repercussions from you. What are you going to do if they just throw your stuff out of court? All you're going to do is complain and keep arguing forever. You know how many black attorneys have been arguing for reparations over 100 years? You can find that in court, and they've been just throwing it out because we haven't had a credible threat. So you got to coagulate the people to be able to threaten these folks in some sort of effective manner. That's where your street folks come into play. That's where your radical people come into play. But then once they respond to the threats, then that's where your intelligent, your attorneys can come into play. Your college vets can come into play. So, like the brother said before, with the diversity, we got to use this diversity as a strength. And diversity doesn't mean. I mean, basically, we need to highlight our similarities so that we understand we are a group, but we all have a little bit a different strengths, and some of us have weaknesses, and that makes us argue a little bit, but we don't become enemies just because we have a disagreement. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
All right, let's pass it to Alan, and we'll pass it to I guess Philip was talking to. Go ahead, Alan.
All right. What I wanted to say was, the title of the show talking about, Yvette Carnell should have led. She shouldn't be leading anything. She is completely incapable of leading you anywhere except to the Democratic Party. That is the only thing she's ever led anybody to, and the reason why she has the results that she has is because that was the intended result in the first place. She was never here to help with reparations. She has an agenda which is more LGBTQ, more Pan-American than Pan-African, and that should be obvious by the things that she's done over the years. You used to call her the merchant of misery. That's exactly what she is. She, black folks don't have any money and all this other stuff she talks about. It's not anything that's going to be taken seriously. That's my first point. Secondly, we cannot sit around and waste our time thinking that this reparation thing is coming. I'm sorry to say, it doesn't matter where in the diaspora you are. These things, the chances of this happening are slim to none. It's not happening. So what we need to do is become Pan-Africanist and try to find ways in which to build up the race without them. Because I'll tell you who has gotten reparations. The only people who've gotten reparations in the past few centuries have been slave owners, and you're about to see reparations go to white farmers in Zimbabwe, and that's the real world. I just feel like we're wasting our people are wasting our time hoping against hope that white people are going to feel sorry and hand you trillions of dollars. And I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen.
Can I add?
Hand claps.
Yeah. So listen, let me add this also. A couple of things. One is that compensation. I think the monetary aspect of it is like compensation. So you have compensation and reparations. I think compensation is a part of reparations, but reparations has to be more than just the monetary aspect. I think the money is a tool to actually apply or to exact reparations, right? Over time, through programs, through a plan that actually does repair to African Americans, right? So there's that aspect of it. Man, I forgot. I had another thought lined up. It slipped my mind, so I'm not gonna hold you on that. When I come back, when it comes back to me, I'll jump back in.
Go ahead, Philip, and then we'll start.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things I wanted to say was, as I said previously, I like Yvette. She's smart, and she's very thoughtful, very well read. But as I was putting in the chat, also to kind of remind myself, Yvette and Tariq made a mistake. Well, they created a problem. Let me put it that way. From the very outset, because both of their foundational movements are based in African Americanism, meaning that they're using their American citizenship to make claims. And as I put in the back chat, African Americans didn't come into existence until 1867 with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. The only people that were held in slavery were Africans, not African Americans, Africans. So for those that were on yesterday, where I kind of went through the legal thing, specifically with Dred Scott. Dred Scott dealt with a former African held in slavery. That is what that case addressed. That's how they came up with separate but equal. And so what you need in order to bring that forward to have standing is you need intergenerational standing. And if you don't have it, which the Supreme Court has said that African Americans, Black Americans, Negro Americans don't have it. So you've got a problem right from the jump trying to start it from African American. Now, that's a legal technicality that I don't expect everybody to, get on board. But, and I'm looking in the chat, here we go, oh, it's dicta. Listen, lawyers have been arguing about this for at least 50 years about how to move this forward. I'm not the brilliant mind that Johnny Cochran was, but Johnny Cochran was struggling with this. Lawyers have been working on this. I have lawyer friends that were in the California thing. I'm just trying to say, look, at some core foundation, you need to have economic leverage to move this thing forward. As many of you have said, the lawyers can do so much to argue the words and argue the structure and argue what the procedure should be, but without any economic force and hammer behind us, it's just talk. You need leverage. And so one of the things that Alan very clearly put forward is we need to focus on building the leverage, and that requires, I don't know how anyone could talk about moving this forward without Claude Anderson. One of the reasons why you see him so damn angry now in old age is because he actually dedicated his life to going around the country and trying to educate Black people about what the cases were and what the situation was and possible solutions. And he was basically ignored. And now he sees the results of what he spent decades trying to avoid. So I think just out of respect, he should be part of any discussion moving forward. But to the point that the panels were making, that a lot of the organizations have been muddied by corporate money and corporate donations and things that, Complex was raising this. So look, I'm for reparations. I think that most Black lawyers I know are for it, but we also realize that it's not an easy thing to do. And without any economic leverage behind us, then we're going to have problems. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I yesterday went into more detail about what I thought was a potential workaround on that, of which would be to continue to follow this channel and the things that Dynast is trying to build here. But, we've got problems with the language that we're using and how we're identifying ourselves. And it makes the lawyers' jobs a lot harder when you base it right off the jump in Black Americanness. And it was actually Africans that were enslaved, right? So what is your tie between being a Black American and the African, right? You're trying to tie that lineage, and the court has severed it. So you got to get over you got to get over that hurdle just to even talk about it. Then the next thing,
easy. It's easy with a threat.
Well, okay, but my point that I made yesterday, and I stand on it, is the real threat is actual resources that the United States needs. That's what Taiwan has done. That's what, when the Asian hate bill was passed, it was passed because Taiwan was in trade negotiations with the United States, and they said, in no uncertain terms, you better pass this damn bill, or we're not going to have any more trade talks. Period.
And they shut down. And they shut down the NBA. But I'm gonna
Well,
stop.
there you go. And so look.
No, Philip. Let me ask you a question. Like, why do you think the California reparations conversation and talk has gotten so detailed and so far
Because China is next,
there?
because they live in California.
Well, I'm asking about the black,
why did it go so far? Why did they?
Yeah, why has it gotten this far? How has that gotten this far? With official committees and all of that happening.
Because when elections come up,
exactly, who's threatened? Yes. Okay.
When Democrats,
go ahead.
We're all speculating. But I think that part of the strategy has always been with Africans is to give them a space to air out their grievances and shout at each other so that they tire each other out and actually unifying and creating leverage to get anything done. And so what I think happened here in California was that you had some really dedicated people, like some of the lawyers that I know that went and tried to work on this, really did try to get at least an audience to figure out the calculation. And then what happened was that the party realized, listen, we've got a real problem with Black Americans just generally, because they are starting to realize that we're working with the other party and we both agree that they should be at the bottom. and so, it became an issue of like, how do you diffuse this thing? And that's also why I think Newsom came out and said, by the way, I know you guys passed this out of committee, but let me kick the legs out of this chair right now, that we're not going forward with it. And that, by the way, if you're looking for cash, you can forget about that too. And then you
notice that though. But I just said, you see what you said though. They said they had a problem.
Yeah,
and that's what I was saying, because once you give them a problem that they need us to solve, then we get a little bit more progress. So what would happen?
What? That wasn't progress, though. That was my point.
No, listen. I think it was a little more progress than it has been made thus far on the reparations question.
I think you have to sit on the mic. Wait, Mike.
Well, no. Think about it. Let's be objective. Now, I know you disagree with me. I know you disagree with me on this, but what I'm saying to you is that it was officially done. It was a state-sanctioned reparations council. They had legitimate meetings. They did legitimate research. Okay, what that brings is expectation, which brings pressure. Okay, on the party. Now, like you said, Newsom, we knew that he was going to do something to kick this out. Let's kick the legs out of this thing. But what I'm saying is, I haven't seen that level of official reparations conversation done anywhere else.
Well, it was a national.
Thus far,
it was a national conversation, but look, we gotta move past. One of the reasons why it's
not a success. But I'm just asking you.
It's symbolism.
Okay.
It's virtue signaling.
Okay.
And the problem is that symbolism is not pecuniary. It doesn't equal money. And so if it's not pecuniary, then we got a problem, because that's the only thing that we're here for, is a pecuniary claim. When Taiwan says, listen, you better damn pass this bill, or you can forget about the transaction that we're working on. That's movement, right? They give the threat, they deliver on the threat, the bill passes.
That's what it takes.
We don't have that. And we don't have
okay,
it.
hold on. Wait. Let me on that little point you just made. We don't have that. I think we do have a threat because the problem that they were trying to avoid, which is their legitimacy with the Black American voter base. Okay, we can give them that problem again. And that's all I'm saying to you. I understand what you're saying, and I do agree with you. I do agree with you.
It's not a threat.
Listen, it is a threat. It is a
No,
threat.
it's
It's a
not.
threat. That's why.
Black people are
It's
going to
not.
vote Democrat regardless.
It's not a
No,
threat
no.
because
See,
they
this is
are replacing us
okay.
as we speak with immigration. It's not.
So they're trying to.
We're
They're
not
trying
even.
to.
And not just
They're
that.
trying to.
Give Yvette Carnell.
They're not trying
They're
to.
trying.
They are.
They're not. No, they're not getting the voter participation from these outside groups that
It takes a certain
grown
amount
to
of time
depend
for you to
on.
be a citizen to be able to vote.
Okay, so that's what my point is. They're trying to. That's all I'm saying.
Philip,
You
can I say something, Phil? He's
Now, hold on.
right.
Let's do this. Hold on, one mic. Let Alan talk, and then I got to close out because I got to go get Mansa. But go ahead, Alan.
You cannot create leverage by giving your vote away to one party all the time. And you have people like Yvette Carnell who are clearly telling people, well, what we're going to, our plan now is to vote down ballot, all Democrat. This is not how politics is done. That's not how pressure is applied. They have no problem telling you that setting up committees and doing this political theater, knowing full well nothing's going to get passed. And if that's the only thing Black people want, to go up there and have a political theater, and then we'll give them their votes. They'll do that round about this time, right before election, every other year.
Hey, let me ask one question before you close out, Dennis, to the panel. You hear me?
No.
Hey, so do you all think if 100 years after slavery, African Americans were not at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder, reparations would be such an issue today?
I don't think reparations I don't hear the average Black, like when I'm out and about, I'm in Atlanta, the so-called Black, well, DC is the Black Mecca and Atlanta is considered the Black Mecca. No one's talking about reparations. Like the average Black American ain't talking about reparations.
They're talking
Black
about it in
Americans,
California.
Okay, you know what? They are, but okay, hold on. They have the hearings, but I mean, you saw pictures of the hearings. Those hearings aren't packed. They're not jam packed.
Republicans, you asked us talking about it, Dennis. When we started.
No, I'm saying at my job, as average people who are not political, people who I know who do not get involved and they don't know anything. They're like, man, this reprobate. They asking me questions because they know I care about that kind of stuff. And I'm just saying to y'all that you have something. It's like a little smolder. You can fan this up into a serious threat, but you got to get rid of some of that pessimistic idea that nothing can be done. I think that you can turn this into a credible threat by just the influence, increasing the influence on the people, talking about this every now and then, making sure that, because when people expect something and they don't get it, that's when they get angry. And our people don't even expect anything. So that's why we don't even get angry or care.
Dennis, can you give us all a 1 minute closeout, please, Dennis?
No, I gotta go. We could do a part 2 later, but I have to.
All right, peace out. I'm going, guys.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dennis and Research.
Thanks, Dennis.
Let's finish up later, man.